Now, I want to build a very, very dangerous building for you. It's 7 floors or more high. And typically it's has fixed windows. They do that all the time now. I think they're frightened of you opening the window and jumping out. When they first put high-rise in Melbourne, somebody jumped out of every one of them once a month. I don't think they've ceased to. They just get up the top and jump. So, hey. So they fixed the windows. Now, to draft the thing, they put sometimes a draft tower in and fan the air out here, and it comes in at the base. But it doesn't seem to work very well. They're pretty dead in the air. So what we've noticed is above the 5th floor, most people are pretty sick and unhappy, and families are disturbed, and usually people living there seem to be sterile, there's no children born, and so on. Architecture and architects are the largest out-of-control experiment ever inflicted on mankind, except for mobile phones. Now, when an architect lends himself to designing a 16-floor building with people inside it, he sterilises everybody above the 5th floor. How does he do that? You don't know? You think you've got little ball snippers in the lifts, don't you? If you, and we have, of course, if you put cages of rats in a tube and put a fan on one end and blow the air through the tube, you sterilise the rats for a fair distance along. They have little babies and they make little nests, and they love and kiss each other and have big testicles and lots of ovaries. But from here on, all that starts to fade out, and by the time we get along to here somewhere, they start attacking the young, and then they go totally sterile. So what sets in is social disruption. And the bloke who first noticed this was a Dr. Bruce, a zoologist. It was called the Bruce effect. If you blow air through a system with a lot of animals in it, you get this breakdown in social status. Rather like sleaze parties, and with the added thing in rats is that they eat the young. Then when we looked at that further, we found that carried in the air, the most important thing carried in the air were the hormones of the rats. So we could actually take the rats out and put another lot of rats in, and there are enough residual hormones left to get the same effect. And we found it was exactly the same in the airstream going past hundreds of people in high-rise. So when you inhale mixed hormones, you go sterile. It's that simple. That makes you a bit bad-tempered, and you start fighting, and belt your kids, And that's what happens in high rise. And get depressed and jump. Why is it then that we allow architects to build these things and don't send them to prison? Why do we let architects build houses that either drive you ratty or give you cancer? We're very stupid. I think the day's coming we will lock them all up, the bastards. They've done a lot of grievous harm to people by constructing things that are very, very bad for people. Now, is there any excuse that they don't know about Mr. Bruce and things? Is that an excuse? No. Because those things are common knowledge in biological sciences. It's all sorts of effects. Also the strange face effect. If you force people to pass each other and they don't know each other, exactly the same thing happens. You sterilise them. That's the strange face encounter effect. And so if you arrange entries and exits so that people must pass each other, or whole lots of stairs on which they must pass each other up and down to catch trains and things, that equally sterilises them. You can sterilise them anyhow by collecting a selection of different human hormones and spraying them. And some scientists suggest that maybe what we do is we reduce population by compulsory puffs of mixed hormones in picture theatres, which nobody would notice and they would all be sterile. But architects set about it in a determined way. Right now, and this seems really insane to me, in Japan, architects are studying the diet of people above the 5th floor because they know everything's going wrong and they think they're eating the wrong things up there once they get above the 5th floor. It seems a crazy idea, but they're spending a lot of money trying to find out what's wrong. Whereas they could Google it, couldn't they? And find out what's wrong. Because the Bruce effect is well known. We dealt with it a lot. Well, I'm a zoologist, so we had to deal with it a lot. And so don't go and live in a high rise with sealed windows. Oh, well, it's a nuisance menstruating. You get amenorrhea pretty quickly, I should think, and after about 9 months of that, you never menstruate again, but you don't ovulate either. And all the men get tiny little shrunken testes that aren't producing anything alive, so all out of it. Which sort of, your expectation of a happy life with 1.2 children or something sort of fades. You ain't going to have any kids and you ain't going to have a happy life.